provide for themselves and families. This is a picture of Pastor Isaac and his family. Due to the conversion of Baptist Mid-Missions compound to a college, we revised last year that Pastor Isaac would have to find other living arrangements to move off the compound by the spring of this year. Thanks to generous designated gifts of supporters, this house was completed this very month. They are so excited to have a house of their own for the first time. They held a dedication service last Friday and prayed and thanked God for receiving this gift. It's truly a miracle that this was done in 10 months. This is exceptional by Canadian standards. Pastor Paul had shared with me his concerns for Christian students coming to attend the university in Guam, not having adequate housing. Parents had contacted him very concerned where their children were going to live while attending the university. He owned a 100 by 100 foot lot and said he'd donate the property if it was feasible to build a hospital. Now, anyone that's not familiar with that term, a hospital is a very simple, Spartan type of establishment. It's basically like a dorm room. Most students actually rent hostels while they attend the university. And they felt like if they could build a small hostel, then they could rent the space out, and this would have generated enough income to offset the cost of the facility itself for Christian students. After performing a study, I determined that unfortunately the property just was not big enough. By the time we put a building and a well, a septic system, and all the various things required, it just couldn't sustain itself. And I advised them it'd take at least 6 plots in order to create a large enough area. A few weeks later, Pastor called me that he had found property right near the university, and this is just one of the lecture halls in the university, a monstrous facility. And he shared with me that he had located this property, so I presented the information to the missions committee after discussing it with Pastor Riley. It was decided that the land would be a good investment. With the recession in America and the high inflation rate in Ghana, it'd be better than keeping the money in the bank. So 6 lots were purchased with designated funds. Pastor Riley recommended that if more lots became available, let us know. As of today, with their most recent purchase last month, they now own 4.5 acres, all with designated funds. Here's a photo of the land from my last visit 3 weeks ago. They're using the majority of it for farming. Allow me to take you through a sequence of amazing events. Last year, I was traveling with the owner of the installation company that my company works with to perform some of the services we provide. This gentleman's name is Michael, and we were riding about 5 hours, and I shared our Ghana story with him. Michael made the comment that he wanted to share this story with his family, and maybe someday his business could help. Well, last March, 3 days prior to leaving for Ghana, I received a call from Michael, and he said, "Gary, there's a man from Ghana I'd like you to speak to." He said they were installing some equipment at Grady Health System, and there was a man who wanted to talk to me, and his name was Peter Stevens. He's the director of the supply chain operations for Grady Health Systems. So we made arrangements to meet at his home the Saturday morning before I flew out for Ghana that afternoon. And I shared with Peter what had been going on. He'd gone for 30 years. And I'd like at this point to have Peter step up, join me for just a minute. Peter is born in Ghana, but he's an American citizen. And I want to give Peter just a minute to speak to you because we had an opportunity to be in Ghana together just a few weeks ago.
Good morning, my Christian friends. It is indeed a privilege to be here this morning and to give God the glory for the things that you've done and continue to do in God. It's interesting to note that it took Gary, an American, to take me to my homeland and indeed take me to the north for the first time. And he was showing me things I've never even seen. And it's very grateful, gratifying that I'll have experienced from my brother Gary. I would like to say that God is going to continue to reward your labor of love. It is very inspiring to see those folks in Ghana with hope, with love, with passion for what they are going through at the moment. It's an experience. And there's a lot the entire country can learn from the great things that you guys are doing for the country. And I don't have much to say, but to say thank you and God bless you.
The Vice Chancellor of the University System of Ghana had visited Grady Health System last year. He was there to find ways to enhance medical training in his country. Peter had shared his vision of mobile medical units to provide medical services in Ghana with support from Grady Health System, Emory University, and Morehouse College. He wants to create a medical supply system that will distribute medical supplies throughout Ghana. Peter has doctors and nurses that have volunteered to go to Ghana. And Grady has made arrangements to accept exchange students from Ghana's university system for medical training. I shared with Peter the fact that our literacy program owns property near the University of Developmental Studies, one of 4 facilities that the Vice Chancellor administrates. I was asked to provide a presentation to the board members of the International Medical Support Services and to some of the staff of Grady. I had photos of the poor conditions of the medical facilities and the villages, our literacy classes, and the schools that we've assisted over the years. After a few weeks, Peter called and asked if I could attend a medical and humanitarian seminar that was being held at Emory University. The Vice Chancellor was going to be there addressing the meeting. He discussed the medical program and the desire to expand their medical services and training within their country. I had an opportunity to meet with the Vice Chancellor and share the work that Killian Hill had been involved in with Ghana. He was especially impressed with the literacy program, the micro businesses, and our long-range goal to provide ministry and services to the students. He gave me his business card and asked me to contact him next time I was in Ghana. Peter and I continued to work on ways that the literacy team could provide translation services and access to the northern villages in support of medical services. Our literacy team has an excellent working relationship with the village elders, and that materials on diabetes and prenatal care would be very useful if they could be translated from English into the Wali language. A few months later, Peter received the news that his mother had passed away in Ghana, and he was going to go to Ghana for 2 weeks to make funeral arrangements at the end of July. And while he was there, he was also going to be filing the necessary paperwork to function in Ghana as a legal entity. So I asked him, I said, can you stay another week? If so, I'll join you. We would have an opportunity to visit the mission programs in the South and the North. With the full support of Grady Health System, they gave Peter a leave of absence and a letter authorizing 6 students from the University of Ghana in Ghana to attend Grady. Arrangements were made so Peter and I could visit with the Vice Chancellor while in Ghana. I arrived the first Sunday of August, and John McComb picked us up, gave Peter and I an opportunity to visit Shalom Academy, and for Peter to have a first-hand view of the quality of the facilities and the teaching materials, the computer lab. And it also gave John an opportunity as Ghanaian to Ghanaian to share with Peter all that had been done in the last 2 years. Now on that Monday, we went to the airport to fly north in Tamale, about 2/3 of the way up to the top of Ghana. Lo and behold, we walk in the airport and there stands the Vice Chancellor. So we met with him just for a few minutes standing in the airport. He calls his protocol office, says, change my schedule. Instead of waiting until tomorrow to meet with Gary and Peter, I'm going to meet with him this afternoon. So we all flew up together, had a very nice meeting, and Vice Chancellor had an opportunity to share the university's objectives with me and Peter, and that a portion of their student body and how much they encouraged them to actually go into the local villages and work with the people. Currently, their medical students actually live part of the time in the villages, getting to know the people and understanding the medical conditions. And the Vice Chancellor wanted to look at our literacy program as a possible way of involving their future teachers in teaching their own people the literacy programs that we've developed. The Vice Chancellor requested Dr. Jada, the Dean of Medicine and Health for Ghana, to be part of our meeting. After hearing our proposals for the medical service exchange and the literacy program, he shared that he had been a surgeon in the Wa Medical Center for 23 years. And he was certain he knew Nancy and our literacy team. So he decided to go with us to visit the new medical clinic in Navarongo, which you can see here. And the university is going to build a duplicate of this medical clinic in Wa, where our literacy program operates. After a long ride on some of the roughest roads you can imagine, we finally laid down at 3 in the morning. And it was a lightning experience for Peter because I assure you, he had never been on any kind of roads like that in his own country. Around 10 a.m., to share a quick short story with you, about 10 a.m. that night, we're driving through terrible rainstorms, the weather's bad, and we pull up to this metal bridge, and it is literally broken in the middle, like this. So we turned around and went back to the last village, and there's a little light glowing out there. So the doctor hops out, and he hoofs it over there, and the gentleman's sitting there under the light. He said, "Hey, can you drive across that bridge?" He said, "Sure." So, needless to say, we turned around and we moved back, and I think we all said a silent prayer, but I can assure you, when we got to the other side, it was a total shared praise the Lord moment. We met with the literacy team at the new property near the university. You can see our literacy team, Peter standing in the middle, and the doctor over on the far right side. And turns out he did know the guys. He'd been doctoring them for years. So what's a fluke of that type of thing happen? We had an opportunity to visit our first sheep herd as one of the micro businesses that started with 5 animals and now has 21. Also visited one of the small retail stores, given an opportunity to see how that functions, and it's doing very well. And it was interesting as the doctor got involved in conversations. He could communicate directly with them to how they're making a profit, how they're paying their microloans back. I mean, it was just a great conversation for me to step back and just listen to. We had an opportunity as part of a container we sent over. We had coordinated to send some American-style farming tools. And as we were visiting the Literacy Center, gave Peter and the doctor an opportunity in order to look at the materials and talk to the team and find out how they actually supported all these villages and these local communities and the many ways in which they minister to the people. The doctor just said, he says, "Gary, I want my picture made with one of them hoes." He said, "Because I can't tell you the number of back injuries that we have in Ghana because our short-handled hoes and our people work like this all day long." I assure you, when you travel that country like I do, you see this everywhere. These people are bent over constantly. So the idea of an extended handle on a tool is just an incredible concept to them. Matter of fact, Pastor Paul called me yesterday and shared with me that they're using the new tools, and it's just an incredible experience and how much more efficient they are in their farming processes now. So we took a long ride back to Tamale and had an opportunity to meet with the Vice Chancellor. Another opportunity presented itself as we flew back to Accra on Thursday afternoon. John McComb would pick us up. Peter had coordinated an opportunity for us to meet with one of the most powerful kings in Ghana.